Peace and blessings. My name is Carlos Walker, and today we got Mr. Suave Gonzalez. How you doing, Mr. Suave?
I'm doing wonderful, my brother. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh man, thank you for participating. Look, it's always an honor when you meet people with like minds, but also doing great things. The reason why I brought you up here today is because I wanted to share your forward progress and throughout your pilgrimage as a man. So before we start, if you will, share with them who you are and just a little bit of what you do.
Yeah, my name's Suave Gonzalez. By trade, I'm a success coach at Community College of Philadelphia. What that means is that I've run a program for formerly incarcerated people where we allow formerly incarcerated people to come to college for free. They come to my program. I help them navigate college life, get them scholarships, get them prepared, for college life. Um, I'm also a podcaster, award-winning podcaster, Pulitzer Prize winning podcaster, international award-winning podcaster. Um, I'm also a former juvenile lifer, served 31 years in the penitentiary, 7 of them in solitary confinement.
Mm,
So my journey started in 1985 when I came to Philadelphia and never went back to the South Bronx.
okay. So
That's where my journey started in the state penitentiary.
before we get there, I want to talk about the you before prison. Share a little bit about who you were and what may have led you up to the activities that led you to prison.
Well, the me before prison, I was involved with a lot of stuff. I grew up in the South Bronx. It was the crack area. So I grew up with a lot of famous drug dealers in my neighborhood. And I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be like them. And I knew that in New York City, I wasn't going to be that drug kingpin that I dreamed to be when I was a kid. Because those was my dreams when I was a kid. Either be a drug kingpin or go to jail. We used to call it in my neighborhood, we going up north,
Mm,
right? So when my mother moved to Philadelphia, uh, the family stayed behind. But I always wonder, like, um, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to Philly, see if I can make some money up there. Came to Philly, started hustling, going back and forth to New York, buying drugs in New York and selling them in Philly. Back in the days in New York City, they had this thing where you go buy $3 dope bags, heroin. I used to get them $3 heroin bags in my block where I grew up, put them in my backpack, and bring them to Philly and sell that same $3 bag for $20.
mm,
People was wondering how this dude was getting work. It wasn't that I had no connection or nothing. What I knew was that if I get on the Amtrak train in Philly to New York, it would take me like 2 hours, the most 3 hours, to get to New York, cop, come back, and get rid of the package. So whatever money I was getting in Philly, I was reinvesting and buying bags. I went from buying 30 bags to coming back on the train with 400 or 500 bags. And the dudes on the block in the Bronx, they didn't care who they were selling that shit to. They were just selling it. They were just selling it. So that's how I started in Philly. And then one day, um, a fight broke off in my neighborhood, and I'm getting accused of shooting somebody. And since I was from New York, I really didn't know a lot of people, and I didn't know then that me being a dealer in Philly created a lot of bad blood with a lot of people from Philly. So they couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to snitch me out. And that's what they call getting him out the way. So I ended up going to prison for a crime I didn't commit for 31 and a half years out of a life sentence. That's
Mm,
who I was before prison. You know, I always say this, brother, and that if I wasn't in prison for what they accused me of, I probably would have been in prison for something else all day. I most certainly would not been here talking to you because I probably would have been dead in 1985.
mm. One, because people in that business or in that game, like you was just saying, they want to get you out the way,
They want to get you out the way.
especially when you're not from around their way.
Yep. They
You're
want to take
kind
you
of
out
in
the
their
way.
mind in the way,
Yep.
and the best way to get you out the way is either allow you to go down like as you did for something
Yep.
that you didn't do, or like you said, you could have been dead.
Yep. I would have been dead, bro. I know that for a fact. I would have been dead.
Sound like back then you might have had a little attitude about you.
Oh, it was always attitudes, bro. It was always attitude. It was always attitudes. I'm from the Bronx, bro. So my swag was all New Yorked out. I'm from the
Yeah.
Bronx. You know, you never gonna lose that, no matter how old or young you get. I'm from the Bronx, you know. But going to prison for something you didn't do is a whole different feeling.
Being that you just landed there, I want to ask
Yes.
you, what was the feeling when you first got locked up for it? Because you being accused of something you didn't do. Talk to me.
I mean, at first it was like, you know, I grew up with the cold of the streets.
Okay.
I grew up with the cold of the streets. That shit is embedded in my blood. Um, so when they asked me, do I know who did it? I said automatic no. You know, I never knew that I was facing a life sentence. So I didn't even know what a life sentence meant.
Mm.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know what being in a Commonwealth state meant,
How
which
old were you
is
when you got locked up?
I was 16.
Okay.
So I never knew that stuff, man. Because when we in the streets, we don't take time to learn law.
Mm-mm.
We don't learn the law. So we do things as kids thinking they can't do nothing to me. They can't do nothing to me. I'm a kid. Not knowing that in state of Pennsylvania, in the state of Virginia, Michigan, you know, there's different states, man, that will take you and give you a life without parole. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what happened with me. So I go to prison, man, you know, I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna do this shit. I'm gonna do this time my way. So the first 10 years was me wilding out. The first 10 years was going in and out of the solitary confinement, fighting the guards, making a name for myself. Like I had to let people know I was in one of the most dangerous prisons in Pennsylvania, and the fifth largest prison in the United States, which is Gratisfall. So here you got a kid in an adult prison, and I got to survive. I have to survive.
So
It wasn't like I had a choice to just mind my business. Now I'm in a prison where people getting stabbed, killed, raped, extorted, tied up, kidnapped, all in one prison. So you know you either get with it or you become the target. And I got with it. You know, I said, you know what? I'm gonna show these dudes that I'm from New York. I'm cut different. I'm cut different. I know about the razors in my mouth.
how to
I
spit
know
them.
about the razors under my tongue. I grew up with that. I grew up with that mentality. I grew up doing that. So you know, I kind of feel out while out was landing in solitary confinement for 7 years
7 years
and
consecutive.
consecutive. You know, and that right there, bro, was the best times of my life in prison because it saved my life. Somebody in prison would have probably killed me because I was wilding out. When I say wilding out, yo, listen, you looked at me, you better be ready to go. I was on go 24 hours. I was involved. I was involved with all the wrong things, all the wrong people. So I go to solitary confinement, and they put me next door to an older gentleman. And I used to get letters from my mother, but I couldn't read them. And I told the guy, yo, can you read these letters for me? And he was like, nah. He read one or two, but then he was like, nah, I'm not gonna keep reading them letters to you. I'm gonna show you how to read. And that's where I learned how to read and write in solitary confinement. That's where
So
I learned how to read and write.
I want to stop
And
you real quick. So prior to prison, you didn't know how to read and write.
no, sir. No, sir.
Okay, you go in prison, and because of an older gentleman, he sharpen you up and teach you how to do these skills while in solitary confinement.
Yep.
Shout out to all of our older comrades who go through the system and do this right here. This is one of the reasons why I love the men that I met in prison, because they actually build our minds like this man did you. I had a few that did it
Oh,
for me.
listen. For those that don't know, lifers, lifers are the ones that keep the jail rolling with programs. Everybody know that in every state, there's certain things that are just policy in every state. No matter, it's the same thing. It's the same day they give out chicken. There's always a chicken day in every jail. Our jails was Sunday, right? There's always a group of lifers. A group of lifers. They serve as mentors to the young dudes like me when they come in. Every jail. And it's the lifers population that the administration look forward to make sure that they maintain the order, to make
Hmm.
sure that they could control certain things and not let it get out of hand. That's in every jail.
So now I want you to go back to what you was telling me. This man, y'all sitting in there, you in your cell. He told you he wasn't going to read to keep reading these letters. Expound upon that.
He showed me how he started giving me the ABCs. Um, he started giving me the ABCs. I started learning my ABCs. I started learning words, boy, cat, mother, father. Next thing you know, man, I'm reading the dictionary. It was like a scene from the Mark and X movie. Next thing you know, I'm reading the dictionary. I'm doing what the school system in Philadelphia and New York said I couldn't do, which it was learn how to read and write. So now that I learned how to read and write somewhat, I could read my own letters. Um, I could write my mind myself. So I promised the brother, yo, dog, when I get out the hole, which is solitary confinement, I'm gonna go get my GED. I got out. I tried to get my GED 7 times. I couldn't pass because the math. At my seventh time, I passed. I passed.
You
I,
never
I got
gave
my
up.
GED. I got my GED. I remember that same day I'm walking out the principal office, and I just happened to look to the right, and I see a classroom full of white guys, and it was a college class. Now, keep in mind, in Grattisford, we had everything: drugs, prostitutes, liquor, weapons, you name it, we had it, right? The last thing that anybody's thinking of is college. So these college classes that were being conducted by Villanova University were going on notice to our people. It was going on notice because we ain't had time for college. We running to jail. So I
Doing
look,
shaking and moving.
and it was a class full of white dudes. So I'm like, what the heck going on in here? A clan meeting? I was playing. Is this a clan meeting? And the guy was like, no, this is a college class. You're not ready for this. On some racist shit. You're not ready for this. I said, I'm signing up. Where do I sign up? And I signed up. I had no experience. I didn't know how to write a paper. None of that. I just signed up. And I stuck it out, man. My first semester, they gave me a D plus. And I was happy as hell because I didn't know that different from an A and a D in a college course. I'm like, I didn't fail, I didn't cheat, and I gave it what I could, right? So the professor started tutoring me. And he was
Mm.
one of them white professors that all he wanted to hear was gang war stories from urban communities. So I told him, shit, I got them all day long. I could tell you stories, and he started tutoring me. And in the process, what he did, he gave me the game. He gave me the game on how to write papers college papers. Um, I did that. I didn't know that signing up for Villanova was part-time studies. It wasn't even full-time, it was part-time studies. So they might bring one class once a year, right? So I took the class. It took 16 years to get a bachelor's degree from Villanova.
Mm.
16 years. But I stuck it out. I graduated summa cum laude, you know, and I was like, yes. A lot of people laughed at me in the prison because I went from this wild young boy to just going to school. Now I'm involved in political events. Now I'm giving the jail fire. You know, I'm now the president of the Latino organization, which put me in contact with all types of people in the streets. The way the jail was run in Philadelphia, if you part of our organization, you could bring people into the jail and have meetings. So we having meetings with state reps. We having meetings with the district attorney. We having meeting with judges. I mean, I'm building a network of people that if I was in the street at that time, I would have been a powerful dude. The only difference is I'm in jail now.
Still a
I'm
powerful
in jail.
dude.
So somehow I had the idea to create a scholarship. I created a scholarship. I put up my own money. I created a scholarship, and because I knew that if I asked the jail, can I go around and collect money from the guys,
Yeah,
they wasn't gonna let
it was
me
gonna be
do it.
like, nah.
They wasn't gonna let me do it. So I put up my own money, started this scholarship. Got a lot of good press. Once the jail saw it, they allowed me to go around the jail. Now, be mindful, it's 5,000 people in the jail that I'm in.
Mm.
So if I get $1, if I get $2 out of everybody, it's ten
You just
thousand
lit.
dollars, bro.
Yes, that's a
So,
scholarship.
so I started going around, and the first go around, I got like 5,000. Everybody gave me money. Because the one thing about the one thing about the brothers in prison is, even though they might not be involved in the political things,
Mm-hmm.
they want you to win because it represents them too.
Come on.
Anything come down the line, they're gonna benefit. So they're gonna support you. And a lot of time, a lot of them gonna support you only because they don't want you involved in that thing that you was into before. You know, they don't want to lose that spot. So you got a lot of punk ass dudes that get involved with these things, project an image, right? Because they know they don't have the real dudes involved. So it was best to support my thing than not to.
Keep you going. Keep you going that way, the right route, so you won't come back to the bad route.
Right. So so we did that, and the rest is history, man. The rest is history. People was laughing at me, bro, when I was going to school. Oh man, why are you going to school? That degree ain't gonna help you nowhere. You doing life. You gonna die in prison. And my response used to always be that might be the case, but if that door ever opens,
Mm.
I want to be prepared. I want to be prepared. You know. So
Before you jump into anything else, I want to talk about your art, because you was also doing art while you was in prison, right?
oh, absolutely. We created the restorative justice program with the mural arts where we did 62 murals from inside the prison down, not gracing the city of Philadelphia.
Mm. So they actually let y'all come. go out and do the murals?
No. The way they do murals is called they got this material called parachute cloth.
Okay.
So we paint on parachute cloth, and then they hang them up on the wall out here, and you can't even tell it wasn't painted on the wall.
Mm, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know that. So
yeah. That's
you
the way
said
they do
62
murals.
of those?
62 full-blown murals. We talking about murals. They are 180 panels, 5 by 5. So now,
Mm.
imagine how big is that? We talking about buildings. We did 62 of them in the last 20 years.
And y'all didn't get nowhere near paid what you would have got had you been a
Oh,
full-time
no, bro,
artist.
listen. We didn't even get an honorable mention because the policies and the DOC is that you can't mention the prisoner's name. So my work is in the city of Philadelphia. And unless I tell people when I drive through them, yo, that's my word, they'd be like, no, it's not. Who when you did that? But then I explained to them we did that in prison. But I'm one of the lucky fews because the group was started by a bunch of lifers. So I'm one of the lucky ones that was able to come out and see
See the
our
work.
work hanging on the walls. Because it's different when you're painting them, and then it's different when you see them up on the wall.
It's kind of like doing artwork, doing it in the cell, and then coming home and being in a gallery.
Right.
Yeah, it hits different. You see the art that you're doing, but when you see it full fledged on the wall and other people looking at it, it hits different. But for you, having a life sentence, doing them in there, and then being able to come out here and seeing it on a huge building, that's huge.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I want
Absolutely.
to salute you for one, the artist that you are, for your change, because the mindset, it shows the mindset that a man, or that a young man 16 years old can go through, and how he can become way better if he work on himself. I like to say God allows us to become the best version of ourselves through the situations that we go through. But
Right.
to your point, you had already put all this, you had told the people, look, I'm going to take and be the best version of me, just in case if the doors open. Start back from there.
Hey, listen. I always say, ignorance put me in jail. Education was gonna be my freedom. Period. And once I started getting educated, there was no need for me to be involved. After 10 years in prison, there was no need for me to prove myself. I've done everything I was gonna do. Did the gang war fights, did the stabbings, did, did the selling the drugs. I mean, calling shots in the yard. I ran the ice cream in a prison where there's only 5,000 men, and I'm the only ice cream shop. You know, for those that don't know, that's juice, that's power. You running the only ice cream shop in a jail with 5,000 people, that's power. So I don't have to sell no drugs. All I gotta do is sell ice cream, control the ice cream. If I could control the Hispanic organization, I control that power in that population. I call that shot. I did that. It became boring after a while. So what I did, I used my organization, flipped it from a bunch of people that just wanted to join because they wanted to be in with the in crowd. I flipped it where everybody in my organization and my board was in college. Everybody in my executive board got college degrees.
Mm.
Everybody. You couldn't even be on the executive board without a college degree. I did that. I changed the bylaws to that. So we created an institution, man, of young brothers, man, that if you put them in anywhere out here, they could compete with any student out here, any student on any level. We did that. We created programs like the Mural Arts. We created programs like the Education Over Incarceration Scholarship. We did book drives, bro. We imagine collecting collecting 40, 50 boxes of books to donate them to a school in the city.
From prison.
Imagine sending school supplies to every school in a certain district in Philadelphia every month. And we did that, you
And
know.
this crazy thing, had this come
And
from anywhere else, this would have been broadcasted everywhere. But
absolutely,
this
absolutely.
came
I mean,
from
we got
men
a little
in,
airplay. We got a
yeah,
little
but it,
airplay. We just didn't get the credit that we were supposed to get
mm,
because America love to highlight when somebody do something bad.
mm-hmm.
But when that person turn around and do something good, it's like, oh, okay, 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 fine, okay, we happy. You know, we don't give it the same energy.
And they need to put that same energy they put into highlighting the bad into the good that we do. So
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
let's move it forward. When did you know, or how did you end up coming home early?
Well, because I was a juvenile lifer, my case happened when I was a juvenile. I got the benefit from the Montgomery decision, Miller versus Alabama, and then the Montgomery decision, which basically state the United States Supreme Court state that it's unconstitutional to keep a person that committed a crime before the age of 18 in prison for the rest of their life without a chance to prove his or her rehabilitation.
It's kind of
That's
like
how.
the IRA. I think DC have a thing called IRA. I don't know the acronym for it, but theirs go up to 25 if
Yeah,
you have
yeah, yeah.
been,
I
yeah.
got the Supreme Court benefit decision.
So you, when you found out, because I love to deal with the emotional, the psychological part of everything. When you found out that you was coming home, how did you feel?
Oh man, it was like first of all, it was like an emotional roller coaster because I grew up in that prison. I went
Yes.
in that prison when I was 16, and I gave them 31 and a half years and 85 days. So I
Mm.
grew up in that prison. Everybody I knew was in that prison.
Yes.
Everything I learned as a man was in that prison. So of course, I was happy, but at the same time, there was that fear, like, what I'm gonna do now? Don't nobody know me in the street. Uh, I'm somebody here. I run an organization with about 300 members. You know, uh, I could get shit done in here. What I'm gonna do when I get out? Because unfortunately, while I was in, half of my family passed away. So I really didn't have nobody to depend on. I really don't have no family in Philadelphia. So where I'm gonna go at? I could have gone straight home. I could have gone straight home if I had a family member in Philly, but I didn't. So I had to go to a halfway house. And so I went to the halfway house and stayed there for 3 months. Got a job, and rent my own apartment. And the rest is history. The rest is history, man. Uh, because I tell people I came home prepared. So it wasn't hard. I always tell people I didn't have to struggle like a lot of the brothers coming home. I didn't have to struggle because of my network of contacts that I created when I was in. I already had a network of people that I could call and depend on. So I didn't. The only thing I struggled with when I came home was learning how to use the phone. That's it. You know, I chose to go to the halfway house because I didn't want to go live with nobody. I didn't want to go live. So I did that, got my own place, got a job. I got a job a week after I was home. Um, I became the executive executive director of a rehab center in Philadelphia. A week after I came home. 6 months later, they offered me a job working at the police station, the same police station that locked me up. Hire me as a case manager. So now, it's all coming back in a different way. I'm walking into the police station with an ankle monitor. Nobody knew I had an ankle monitor, right? And I'm a case manager, and I'm helping people stay out of prison, low level offenders. I'm hoping them stay out of prison. Now let that sit in. You come
That's
home,
good.
and you're a case manager at the police station. My office is next to the artillery room. Guns, grenades. Yo, listen. I'm like, how the fuck I get here, right? Like, I used to ask myself that. But at the same time, right, I attribute that to my education. I got a degree from the University of Villanova,
Mhm.
top tier school. Top tier school. The only thing you looking on when you look at my resume, oh, he got a degree from Villanova University. That put us in a safe zone.
Come on now.
It puts us in a safe zone for the conversation. So I go in for the interview, and the guy was like, "The only reason I'm hiring you was because you was in prison."
Come on.
And I was like, "Huh?" And then he said, "And you got a degree? It's a no-brainer." They hire me on the spot. Again, I
I'm gonna
come
take your
home.
words. Let that set
Again,
in.
I come home, and I'm working at the police station
Mm.
as the case manager. Let that sit in.
Let that set in.
Let that sit in, people, because it just don't happen. It don't happen without doing background checks or anything like that. So what I tell people is know the law. Know the law. No employer in the state of Pennsylvania could go into your background check record that go back past 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
They can only check 7 years. If you check 7 years, I haven't committed crime in
In
20
30
something
some
years.
years, yeah.
Technically. So nothing's gonna pop up. And also, for those that got locked up as juveniles, there is a way to get around that. Remember, we got locked up as juveniles.
Mhm.
We still are afforded some of the juvenile laws.
Yes.
All right, keep that in mind. So if I look you up and you got locked up at the age of 15, I'm probably not gonna get nothing as an adult,
Mm-mm.
right? And that's what happened. They kept looking for something as an adult. I got locked up as a juvenile. You know, my juvenile records are not sealed because I don't have no juvenile records. I've never been in trouble as a juvenile, right? So I caught my case. So when you look back 7 years, nothing pops up.
Nothing. So we're gonna move forward. Share with the people what you do now. I know it's a lot. Trust me, it is a lot. For y'all who don't know this brother, look, hey, Genuine gives his time, believes in his community, both communities, those who were formerly incarcerated, but those who are out here now, and he gives back to the youth. He does a little bit of everything. Share with them, and he's still doing art. Just let y'all know.
Oh, absolutely, man. Um, like today, I travel the country. I'm a Pulitzer Prize winner. For those that don't know what a Pulitzer Prize is, it's the highest award that you could give anyone in journalism.
Mm,
Little Caucasian kids become journalists with the hope that by the time they end their career, they could win a Pulitzer Prize.
mm,
Right? I am the first formerly incarcerated person in the United States of America that ever been awarded a Pulitzer Prize.
That's a bad
Not
call.
even Mandela. Mandela had one of the best books ever, and they would not give it to him because he was incarcerated. So let that sit in too.
Let that set in.
You know. Then I also hold the distinct honor of having an Ideator Award, which is the Oscars of podcasts. If you got an Ideator Award, it's like the equivalent of an Oscar in podcasts. So I did that within 4 years of being home.
My man.
No, 5 years of being home. So I use that to create my platform. I own my own podcast network, which is called True Crime, True Story Network on Spotify. I'm part owner of a station called Fet Life Radio Station. I am one of the founders and CEOs to DBI Media. I am a success coach at community college. I am an author. I am an artist. And I'm an activist. So I travel the country, sharing my story, and hoping that we can move the needle to make it better for those that's coming after us. This is not about money. It's never been about money. This is about human rights. This is about the people we left behind. This is about our kids. This is about our grandfathers, our aunts, our grandmothers, our uncles, because anyone could be picked out from a lineup and accused of something they didn't do, and based on your academic economic status, it would determine whether you're going to jail for life or not. You know, and it takes people like us, bro, with these type of platforms to educate the people, to really let the people know, yo, it could happen to you. You know, even me today, I'm pretty much well established, but guess what? I'm on lifetime parole. So that means if I look at you wrong right now through this video, if I look at you wrong and you decide, I don't like the way you look at me, I'm calling parole on you. I can have a violation. I can have a violation. You understand what I'm saying? So it's about education with me. It's about going around and telling people we not built for the system. Our ancestors did not give up their lives
Come on now.
for us to be in a 9x12 cell 24 hours a day.
Come on.
I mean, let's go deep into that. Our ancestors died for us to have this opportunity to be here speaking, for us to be free. And yet, we out here doing dumb shit, killing each other, ending up in prison, and now me and you are at war in the same block in the street, but we cellies now. Now we both in some white man cell, buried with biblical time, trying to find out how can we get out. Because we don't really hate each other. We were just doing the dumb stuff. So I tell people like, yo, we not built for prison, bro. I know I wasn't built for prison. When them doors used to lock at 9 o'clock and I hear the rest of the killers crying, I used to hear grown man killers, people that ran to jail when they lock in at 9 o'clock crying because they would had life and they was going to die in prison. You know, I tell people, man, in my 31 years in prison, I witnessed over 400 good men die in prison because they couldn't come home because they had life without parole. Couldn't come home. You know, our ancestors, our grandfathers, our great-great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers, they give up their freedom, their liberty for us. And here we are, acting like bozos, asking people to put us in jail. Trust me. Take it from a person that lost freedom, from a person that had life without parole in one of the harshest states ever in Pennsylvania, right? I know what it is to lose freedom. I know what it is to gain it back,
Good God.
right?
Say it again.
So I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides. I know what it is not being able to read. I know what it is of reading and writing. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum, bro. So I'm more than qualified to speak on this.
Come on now.
We are not built, blacks, Latinos, people in general. We are not built to
For this.
be in a 9x12 cell for the rest of our lives. We not built for that. We could talk that shit while we in the block and fighting each other, but I guarantee you, when you walk into them courtrooms and you look around, when you look around and all you see is that big sign across that bench with the white judge that say, "In God we trust," they're not talking about the same God being you believe in, bro.
Nah.
Because when you look in them courtrooms, everybody there is white.
They don't look like us.
Everybody there is there for one reason. It's to remind you that you are still 3/5 of a human being. And you just prove that to them because you are in their hands and they're going to determine your life right now. What you think
Yes.
going to happen? What you think going to happen?
You're going to jail.
You're going to jail with
And for a
biblical
long
time.
time.
With biblical time. You're going to jail. Right? Then you got to get to jail. Then you got to deal with these old ass booty bandits that's been in jail 30, 40 years. They're looking at you as Beyonce. You eye candy to them. So now, if you get lucky enough and you go to jail with 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, now you run the risk of turning them 3 years into a life
Interesting.
sentence
Good
because
God.
you might have to stab somebody to protect your manhood. Facts.
Facts.
That's facts in every jail across the United States. You know, some states are more lax than others, but nevertheless, it's jail.
Mhm.
Nevertheless, it's jail. The same policy, the same predators exist. You know, so my advice to people is, man, listen, if you got the chance now to go to school, get educated, start your own business, help out in your community, do it. Do it. I mean, right now in this time, we have no excuse.
No.
We have no excuse not to do anything. The only thing you really need, ladies and gentlemen, is all you need is this right here, a
A
phone.
phone.
All you need is a phone. And you can basically start any business. Any business. Who would have thought, bro? Who would have thought that the same guy that the state, two states, say you got a 56 IQ, you would never learn how to read and write, today holds the distinct honor of being a Pulitzer Prize winner. And I'm going to keep saying that. You know why? Because I want people to understand what a Pulitzer Prize is.
Let
This
that
is
set
the
in.
highest. This is the highest award that you could receive in journalism. You know what that means, bro? That if I make a phone call to any news station, somebody's going to respond. If I write any of these production companies out here, Netflix, HBO, anyone, somebody is going to return that call.
Let that set in.
That's what that means. I don't need $1 million cash.
You are.
I don't need $1 million cash, people.
You
It can
are.
help me, but I got a couple of millions, and resources. You know why? Because a Pulitzer Prize is worth more than $1 million.
Come on now.
And when I tell you that, what I mean is, if you could call Netflix and get somebody on the phone within 5 minutes, bro, you got power.
You got power.
The people that I've rolled around with today are people that can make it happen for you. I'm not rolling around with Joe Blow from down the block. I'm
Mm-mm.
not rolling around with the same dude that I didn't want to tell on, and I had to do 31 years for him. That dude is still in the corner, cracked out. Every time he see me, he asks me for $1. Don't even know who I am. The same dude that I kept my mouth shut and went to jail for. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's about creating network. It's about creating wealth for your family. It's about showing people, man, that you're not a mistake, bro. It's about demonstrating like you made the right decision when you let me out.
When you let me out.
You made the right decision when you let me out. And we need me and you, bro. Me and you, Mr. Carlos, we have a social responsibility
I promise you.
to show people, yo, this is us. This is what we really do.
This is what we do.
Why we have that responsibility? Because we left hundreds of men and women behind. They deserve the same chance we have, if not even more. But lucky for us, it was us that was granted that opportunity.
But as you said, we owe that social responsibility.
We have that social responsibility, man, and we
And
must live up to that.
that's to be the best versions of us that they may get a chance. That's to show the best versions of us. In spite of, there's a narrative, and I always tell people this, there's a narrative that the media like to play, that all black and Latino go back to prison, even white people.
Right,
But I know this to be a lie. That majority of us, and I'm almost willing to bet every dime I got, majority of us don't go. There's people that you don't know that's around you every day that probably done been to prison.
right,
They just not sharing their story.
right,
And if we gather these stories, if we start pushing them out there and saying, nah, look, we all ain't going back to prison. Guess what? I know Suave who got a Pulitzer
Pulitzer
prize.
Prize, Pulitzer
Yeah,
Prize, bro.
look, who got this, but not just that. Look at what he did, not just out here, but in prison. He started a scholarship. He started this. He came home, and now he's changing lives. And it's because, hey, some men decided to help him become the
Right,
best version of him. And that's a lot of us. And we all, like you said, it's a social responsibility to us to make sure that they're seen.
absolutely, man. We
And
owe that, man. We owe that, man. Everybody that have a social media platform owe that, man, to the people, man. That's the only way we gonna change minds and hearts. I'm not the exception. I'm not the exception. Never want to be the exception. I'm not the poster child. I'm just someone that had a great support team that gave me the opportunity to do what I want to do.
I like to say God knew what you was gonna do. He knew
Oh,
your heart.
absolutely. God too, man. But but it takes people, it takes time, it takes resources to invest in brothers that have been away for decades,
Yeah.
you know. And for the brothers and sisters coming home after decades, it's all right to not know. It's all right to feel like, wow, I feel like a brand new baby in this world. It's cool
And you are.
because this gives you the opportunity to reinvent yourself, gives you the opportunity to really show who you really are. You know, a lot of time you coming back to the same city, but nobody really knows you. Nobody really know who you are unless they've been in jail with you or on contact. They don't know who you are. So this is your chance to come out and say, you know what, let me do this. Um, and sometimes you're just gonna have to volunteer some time to community service. You
Mm-hmm.
know, volunteer some time, get to know people, network with people, sell yourself, have that elevated pitch right there on the spot. You know, practice it. Um, it's not always about trying to get something from people. It's not always about money. I always tell people, uh, the the two things, three things that people, the most important three things that people need when they come home. It's somebody they could talk to, somebody they could talk to, right? At, at any time, a job and a home,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't need the cars, the fly clothes, the material things that make you feel like you part of a community. The reality is you're not part of that community. You coming into a community that you know nothing about. They know nothing about you. You know nothing about them. And so it's a fresh start. It gives you the opportunity to set yourself, let them know who you want them to know. Um, and don't rush it, man. And also, man, as soon as you come home, make sure that you sign up for some form of therapy.
Yes.
Make sure that you go get a physical checkup because a lot of time we come home with all types of disease that we don't even know we have. That's facts. You know, prison hospitals do not give you the full examination. They just give you a TB shot once a year, and that's it. I know
Mm.
brothers that come home, they got heart problems.
Oh man.
In the last 5 months, I seen 4 or 5 brothers that come home after 30 years or more and just die. These are health, eating, weightlifting type brothers die. Because they didn't know they had heart problems and stuff like that. So to people coming home, man, like, yo, go get that physical, right? Get your shit together, man, before you try to lay up with a woman or man. Yo, make sure you have your ducks lined up. It don't matter if it's a room or an efficiency, a house. Make sure you got somewhere that you can lay your head at, right? And I know sometimes we come home, our families and friends gonna be like, oh, you can stay here with us. Yeah, after a month, trust me, that shit would change. After a month, it's like when you're gonna get a job. You gotta contribute something for here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, so we can't come home with that lazy mentality. The same way we work in these prisons for 13, 14, 15 cents. And we do that shit faithfully. We get up every morning, we sweep the
Everything.
hardest, we go to the sweatshops. The same way we do that in prison,
You gotta do
we
it
could
out
do
here.
it out here for $15, $20 an hour.
Before we get ready to go, I need you to do something. And you done pretty much done it, but I do need one more thing. Give me a word of wisdom, because you just dropped a whole boatload. But I need one specifically word of wisdom to a youth, to somebody older. It doesn't matter. But what would you give them?
Your life matters.
Ah,
Your life matters, man. And I mean, you can read into that different ways, but you matter. Once you've done your time, unlock that prison cell in your mind. Don't come home with that prison cell in your mind because that's what caused people downfall. We come home and we still think we locked up. We come home, we still want to stack at oodles and noodles in a certain way. We still want to line up our cosmetic. You home now. You don't have to worry about standing up for count. I mean, make no mistake about it. You're going to stand out because you glowing, you shining, you look different, you speak different. We carry a certain different type of respect with us when we
mm-hmm.
speak to people. We are grateful. Somebody give you a candy bar. It's like, oh man, thank you, because we're not used to that kind of stuff in the prison system. That's all cool. But at the end of the day, you don't have to keep yourself locked up. You can breathe. You can breathe. You can take that walk, man, in the park. Self-care. What I do, sometimes I go to the movie by myself.
I do too.
Sometimes I go to dinner by myself. By myself. You know, even though I'm a social person and I speak to crowds of people, when that shit is over, I like my I like being solo because I like my peace. It's all right to do that. But I understand that I'm no longer in prison. I'm no longer locked up in my mind. If I want to get up 3 o'clock in the morning and go down to the Popeyes, get
You
some
can
chicken,
do
I'm gonna do that. I don't have to
it.
ask permission. You know, I just got to be careful that that I don't bump into no danger out here. But at the same time, I'm not locked up. And what's make us different is that we know how to think for the next person because
Yes.
we all been in situations where we got to think for 100, 200 people on our cell block.
Come on now.
So yeah, your life matters, man. And never think because you made a mistake that you don't. Never think of that. And if anybody ever told you, man, that it's not possible, just look at Carlos. Look at me, bro. Like they told me that I was gonna die in prison.
That was a lie.
They told me that I would never learn how to read and write. I became a ghostwriter for urban writers. Some of the books that you probably read out there, I probably wrote them, right? Um, Today I travel the country speaking. I'm ready to go on tour starting May 30th, coming to a city near you.
I
So,
see you June 22nd.
so when you start thinking about all that, it's like anything is possible. If I could do it, I know it sounds cliche. If I could do it, I know you could do it. I believe in you, and I want you to win.
Your life matters.
Your
Look,
life matters.
Suave, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for this interview. I thank you for your story. I thank you for being an overcomer because it took a lot for you to push the old you to the side. You're the butterfly, but you just shared the story of the caterpillar, who it took to become who you are now. And who you are now, like you just said, you flying everywhere, sharing your story, and that's what we supposed to do as a group of people to help change the minds of those who are in the court system, but also help our brothers and sisters who are still behind prison walls know that you're the best version of you when you step up and become it.
Absolutely, man. And like I said, never forget, man, anyone that's been incarcerated, whether you're in the movement or not, you have a social responsibility to create a pathway for those coming after us.
Look, we love y'all. Appreciate you, Suave. This is Forward Progress. He's Suave Gonzalez. My name is Carlos Walker, and thank y'all.